Hi everyone, Wayne Hall back again with indie comics you can get at your local shop. And this time I'm going to do something a little different. Well, first of all, I got different glasses just so everybody notices. If you look at me and something's different, that's different. I wanted to talk about the DeMultiverse. This originally came through Kickstarter and it's under a company called Spellbound Comics and it's from DeMatteis. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's known for Spider-Man, Justice League, Moonshadow, you name it. He's currently writing some Marvel comics, some of the Spider-Man stuff, so he's been around. He wrote Ben Reilly stuff, and I got to interview him not too long ago about all that good stuff, including this Kickstarter. But I'm sure these are going to end up in comic shops. This is just a little ahead of the curve as far as that goes, because I did back the Kickstarter. And I wanted to talk about the books that came out from that, just so you can get an idea when it hits what to do. Now, when I ordered them from the Kickstarter, I got the trade paperback, the collection of all the books. There was one that wasn't included in that, and I'll get that to you, and I'll talk about that shortly. But I thought what I would do is I would go down the list of the ones that I liked the best. He did a poll so people could decide which ones he should send to the shops first. And I'll give you my test results, what I thought should work. Oddly enough, they fell pretty much in alphabetic order, which is something funny. But some of them are superheroes, some of them are horror, some are other kinds of genres, including Western. But we'll get to them. Let's get started on the ones. The very first one that I liked was a book called Any Man. And it's, the artist is Valdeon on there. And what I want to do is I want to read the description really quickly. In the late 1960s, Any Man, a hero from millions of years in the past, arrives to rescue a modern world in crisis. Over 5 decades, Any Man becomes the inspiring symbol of all that's good in humanity, the superhero the entire world reveres. There's just one problem. Everything we know about him is a lie. Who is Any Man really? Or perhaps the better question is, who are they? And who is the savage doppelganger intent on destroying Any Man and his mysterious creators? This book kind of deals with the question is, how is it that like a superhero stays the same appearance and age over the decades, even though it's apparently the same person? And this book deals with that kind of thing, and it's really interesting. So I liked the book. I thought it was something to deal with. Some of the art's pretty good. I'm going to suspend the rating and stuff since I'm giving them in the order which I like it. There's the one when he realizes he's Any Man. So that's good. That's the first one. The second one I like is called Godsend. And the interesting thing is that Godsend really is a godsend. Godsend begins with the sudden appearance of a celestial being who might be a force for global salvation or global destruction. Who is this being? Where did it come from? And why is insecure and unremarkable junior high school teacher Eric Small so obsessed with it? Even Eric's not sure. Maybe the half-turtle, half-man currently standing in Eric's living room will have the answer. Godsend is a reality-shredding story with echoes of Jack Kirby's New Gods, Philip K. Dick, and The Matrix. I like this one because it's much more of a supernatural kind of a mystery setup as opposed to Any Man. And it ends with him saying bad words on there. Anyway, this is the first copy of that. The next one is called Layla and the Lands of After. And this one is much more of a, I want to say horror. Let me read the description and I'll help you decide. Layla in the Lands of After is the story of a 13-year-old girl, this one girl right here, who finds herself transported to a magical land where trees read your thoughts, rivers sing, and animals talk. But Layla soon discovers that this isn't Oz or Wonderland. She's dead. and this is the afterlife. Refusing to accept her fate, and with the help of a few friends she meets along the way, both old and new, Layla is determined to return to the land of the living and the loved ones she left behind. But will the creatures lurking in the darkness let her? Now, this is much more of a horror story, and the pages, because I refuse to be dead. She is a girl of color, shall we say. This is how she gets there, that. And it's kind of interesting. Sean McManus is the artist on this one. I didn't mention who the artist was on that one because it's not on the cover. It's doesn't have it in here. If I find that, I'll bring that up before we get done. Anyway, the Layla is much more of a psychological drama with the girl trying to deal with how she passed and what's next for her. So it's pretty interesting. The one I like the least of the four is called Wisdom. And Wisdom is much more of a Western. Obviously, you can tell from the cover. It's much more of a Western story. Let me read it. Wisdom is the tale of Gabriel Wisdom, a devoted husband and follower, middling Shakespearean actor and magician, and in time a murderous gunfighter and formidable sorcerer tasked with saving the planet from a supernatural war that could consume all of humanity. But Gabriel cares less about the world and more about the wife and daughter who have been kidnapped and corrupted by dark forces. It's Deadwood meets The Lord of the Rings in an epic fantasy played out against the backdrop of the Old West. And this is Tom Mandrake doing this. And it's a good book. I like it. But the thing that drives me crazy about this book is that a lot of the pages are text intensive. See all those word balloons and things you got to read. And there's several pages like that. Not every page is like that, thankfully. Here's another one that's kind of like that. I found that a little hard to get through. So, it's interesting. There's a page that doesn't have all that on it, which I like. And it's a pretty good book. I liked it, but it was still the one I liked the least. Now, there is one more, and it was an add-on when it came to buying the stuff at the on the Kickstarter. And see if I can find the description really quickly for that one. That one is called The Edward Gloom Mysteries. I can get a quick description. It's called a gothic thriller described as Charles Dickens meets Sherlock Holmes meets Frankenstein. And it's co-created with J.M.'s Augusta Wynn collaborator, and I'm sure I'm going to mess this up, Vasilis Godzilla's. I'm sure I butchered that. Now, if you want this stuff, you can definitely go to spellboundcomics.com, and you can order all different varieties of it. The trade collection is there. The individual issues are there. You can also buy digital copies of it if you prefer to go that route. The Edward Gloom Mysteries, which I mentioned, unfortunately, it's down there with the Wisdom. It's a horror type book. There's a little bit of mystery going on, but no, I should say one thing. I ordered the trade paperback, and I got the Edward Gloom Mystery separate with that. I couldn't quite put my hands on it in order to record this, but it's I can show you the cover, which I have, I'm sure. And I got the collected, so you can buy digital, you can buy collected, you can buy all kinds of other good versions of that. And I highly recommend you do it. I like to see creators who delve into different genres, and JM is doing that quite well. As I said, I got to interview him about this, and I talked with him about Ben Reilly and some other stuff in my podcast. But I'm not certain what's going to happen next with it, because they did that poll. Now, I've given you my results, but other people, I think, a lot of them are fairly even when I saw results. So I think the poll is closed, but I don't remember exactly who won. I hope Any Man won, because that's the one I want the best. But anyway, this is hopefully the launching of the DeMultiverse, and you all can get a chance to support it by buying the individual books or the trade. And so I highly recommend you do that. Again, it's spellboundcomics.com. Or I think there's some of it still up there on Kickstarter. You can check that out. But I thought I'd do something a little different this time. So there won't be anything as far as the ratings and stuff. But I've kind of rated the books and the level of how I like them. So that's it for this week. And until next time, keep reading your comics.